Hello everyone, how's it going? So yesterday Bungie released a brand new document detailing the future of Marathon Season 2 and Season 3, and I've gotten to Platinum in this game. I put over 100 hours in this title, but this game's survival is not looking good. In fact, a lot of people consider this just confirmation that it's a failure. Now, I waited until today to discuss this document. I haven't read it. I want to read it raw and discuss it on the way. It's because right now I'm recording this around 7 p.m. on a Friday, and these are the player accounts right now, and it's not looking good. I know there are a lot of people saying there are a lot more people playing on PlayStation. They're not. Now, I loaded up my game on PlayStation. I started playing on Perimeter, Dire Mars, Outpost, and Cryo Archive. And I would just ask my team what platforms they were playing on, and they would flat out tell me most of them were on Steam. Only about 2-3 players were on PlayStation, and about one of them was on Xbox. But most of the people playing this game, from my experience, I played 2 matches for each of those maps, were on Steam, and this is really bad for a live service game. I know a lot of people saying, well, they made their $40 up front, so that's it, and this game has apparently sold over 1 million copies, which is still abysmal considering that the impairment loss for Bungie shows that Sony overpaid for this studio. They lost over $700 million on it. It's not looking good, and this game's development hinges on microtransactions. The future of this game hinges on that. No matter what anyone says about the $40 upstart price of this game, that's to just try and play the game. For them to keep this game alive, they need microtransaction sales, and it doesn't look good for them when it comes to people purchasing stuff for a game that's essentially on its last legs, and it's not even been a year. So we'll see how things go. I'm certain Sony's going to keep supporting this game as they put through this document, but we've seen similar stories like this, like with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, High Guard, Concord, you name it. But whereas Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League required them to deliver a year's worth of content because of the Ultimate Edition, they don't, as far as I can tell, don't have any legal obligation to do so. The only thing they have is the fact they paid so much for this studio that this is make it or break it. They have to justify their purchase from Sony, by Sony, and if it doesn't, well, Sony has shut down studios for less. Look what happened to Blue Point Games. So launch learnings and what's next. So I'm going to read the entire article, not just this part, because I know there are going to be people out there who are going to be like, you didn't read the entirety of the article, you haven't played enough of Marathon, even though I got the Platinum Trophy, even I have 100 hours in this game. But people are going to make whatever argument they want, but I'm going to try and make as many compelling arguments I can for myself to cover my bases. The short version, too long, don't read. There's a lot of words ahead, but here's the gist of it. With the first season of Marathon, we've created a strong core community. That is true, they have. Even though that community isn't large, they do have over 10,000 people who are still playing this game. Yes, it's a brand new game, so people are still fresh, and it is the Cryo Archive weekend. They do have a core community. The problem is that community is very small and not enough to sustain a game of this magnitude. Apparently, this cost $200 million, and they let Destiny 2 die for this. Like Destiny 2, we can actually even look this up right now. I had it saved just in case. Destiny 2, a 10-year-old game, is making the same numbers, and this was what Sony purchased Bungie for. And look at that, it is failing. Like, live services in general are failing right now. When Fortnite is failing, everyone is failing. We've been embarking on a multi-season journey built around growing from the seed of this strong community. We're looking to solve some pain points for players, making the game less grindy and more rewarding. I don't know how that affects people who are the strong sense of your community, because they actually like the idea that it's more grindy, because from what I've seen from more top line players, they like the idea that they can lose anything in an instant. They like the idea that any piece of any locker, any dead shell, anyone else can just give you some sort of rare item. So this is likely that they're trying to cater to people to come back or even try the game out, which if they're trying to do that, I would say make the first map, which is Perimeter, free to play. Anyone can dive into that map and play as they want and keep them to their own isolated community. But that's my opinion. Making improvements to things like the UI, UX, matchmaking, endgame meta, playing as solo and duos. Okay, those are actually good ideas. As for the UI and UX, it took me a while to get used to it, so they kind of need to fix that. For matchmaking, it's because there are not enough players. It took me around 6 minutes to get into a match without cross-play, and around half that time 3 minutes with crossplay. But like I said, I was able to get into matches with Steam players very quickly. As for PlayStation only players, which I played the game, it was next to impossible to get into a match like instantly. It would take like 6 minutes. Smoothing out onboarding. We've also going to build out more of the core game, add in new fun mind-bending content, new and updated zones, runner shells, new combatants, weapons, loot, and more. Build in systems to make progression more interesting. So what are they going to do? Add the ability to destroy 7 windows instead of 5? Like, if this was a new studio, I'd give them the benefit of the doubt, but this is Bungie. Did you not learn anything from Halo and Destiny about challenges, progression, ensuring to keep players engaged? Is this your first game? Where are you coming up with this type of crap? Oh my god, you don't have enough characters? Wow, that's a new thing. New and updated zones? You're telling me launching the game with only 3 maps was a bad idea, and locking out one of the maps until the end of the month, where it's only accessible during Thursday through Sunday, is also a bad idea? Oh my god. If something like this were to release during the Xbox 360, no one would have bought it. They would instantly laugh this out the door. You guys released Halo and Destiny, and you don't understand the concepts of what makes a good, engaging multiplayer experience. It's truly fascinating. You have one game mode, barely any maps, barely any characters, the challenges suck, they're locked behind very obtuse requirements, and you barely get any rewards for actually playing the game. Most of your rewards come from getting guns and armor and equipment, which are all going to be lost by the next season. When you put it down on paper, it just sounds completely stupid. I don't know where their ideas came from. Something is happening out there that, it's craziness, man. We want to build more survival experience for different moves. If you want to full sweat or lean back and chill, exploring more pure P versus P, P versus E, and P versus P light experience. This is literally Destiny. It's literally Destiny. I replayed Destiny 1. It had P versus E content, raids, dungeons, open world segments, P versus P content, literally the Crucible. And then they also had P versus P light content with the Gambit mode, which I don't think is playable anymore. That thing was lit, but I like that a lot. But you're just repeating history. It's this isn't new. And even if you do this with Marathon, even though I think it would be a great idea because I can actually fight the compiler where people waiting outside the compiler room and waiting to shoot me and just take my stuff and walk out the room. But the fact is that Marathon doesn't have a lot of enemies. Look at the enemy variety in the game. You have ticks, robots, then the compiler. 3. And technically, and only one of them is a boss that you only can get after you go through a very, very long preparation process, going through multiple maps, getting keys, locking dungeons. And I know people are going to say, well, there are different types of robots. They're still part of the same faction. You guys shot yourself in the foot with this, because I played Marathon 2 recently. When I played that game, I was like, look at all these enemy types. Why the hell are they not in the game? What did you guys do for the last many, many years that you developed this game? What did you do with over $200 million that you couldn't create models for these enemies? Look at Crimson Desert. I haven't played the game, but I looked at people played the game. Look how many enemy types are in there. Look at Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 9, 7. All these games had huge amount of enemy pools. And yes, Final Fantasy 7 is a very old game, but look at Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Look at how many enemy types, how many boss enemies are in that game. You're telling me you guys could not put that into this game. The hard work was already done for you. You have an entire lore, entire catalog of enemies. It's just you guys made this for a P versus P experience, but now you're going to try and cater to P versus E without having the enemy types, unless they have them available, in which you're just kind of proving everyone's point that you have all this content available, but you're just trickling it down to the consumer and showing that, hey, we do have a roadmap prepared. We just don't want to give it to you, even though you paid for the game. That's just a conspiracy theory, but God, man. Continue to experiment with experimental cues to learn more about around these experiences. Okay, that's completely unnecessary right there, because that's just you trying to improve the experience when you have barely any players. We're bringing back duos for Season 2 with rotating duo queue, which should be in the game by default, because why the fuck is it not? We're testing some experiments with Season 2 around P versus E and P versus P light modes. Is it really that fucking hard to just do that? Like, is it? Like, just tell me, like, is it really that hard to just have people go into a map where there are no other players and they just fight robots? Like, genuinely, I'm asking this question. Is it really that hard? Like, we had Horde mode in Gears of War 2. We had people go into a map and they would fight waves of locusts. So why can't you do that here? We're expanding the max size of the vault. Okay, that's good. Thank you for that. Increased faction progression rates in Season 2. Thank God for that. But I think a lot of people who play this game don't even give a damn about that anymore. We've talked more about Season 2, like Night March with a new Cradle progression system, a new runner shell called the Sentinel the week of May 25th, and we'll read more about it below. So, okay, that does not bring me hope. It's basically them just returning to Destiny's formula and hope for the best. We'll see how things go there. I really hope my theory about them trickling content is true and they're just trying to dive as much as they can into the game's development and just say, you know what, we have all these models ready, let's just put them in the game. If this were a recording, this is where you'd hear me press play. The synth beats with lunan humming of a playful but elusive bass line would collide with your eardrums, and my voice would greet you with a warm and simple hello. So let's just imagine that's happening and get started. Oh my god, that reads so like a pretentious theater kid. I can't, like, this hurts me on so many levels. Dude, this is not the time to talk like this. Your game is hemorrhaging players. Like, treat us like people. Like, even Overwatch with Jeff Kaplan, at least he was shortened to the punch. He just, like, put an intro and said, hello from Team Overwatch. Nearly 3 months have passed since we flung you across and crash-landed you into this dangerous and mysterious lost colony on Tal Ceti 4. For the development team, myself, and all the talented teams at Bungie and Sony that have been supporting us, it has been quite a wild ride. Yes, it has for you, like Sony right now, wondering if paying $3 billion was one of the worst decisions of their life. Look, I'm just stating for what it is. You lost around $1 billion in impairment loss. Yes, it's $700 million, but that's close to $1 billion. Like, dear God. From launch to now, we've watched you tackle challenges of Tal Ceti. Yeah, break 5 windows. Learn to navigate its threats, which are just the players, the actual threats in the game. While the robots are dangerous, they're not the same level of threats as people who camp the spawn point and use a bunch of claymores as Rook, waiting for players to extract on the isolated extraction point that's available to everyone once the match is over. I know I'm being very anal about this, but they need to nerf claymores, like make them into a much more rare resource. Discover new ways to engage with one another and create infinite and unique stories of survival. From what I've seen, a lot more people are pissed off about this, but okay. And through it all, we've been watching, listening, and trying new things in an effort to learn more about you all. As we come closer to the end of the first season and subsequent start of Season 2, we wanted to take some time to reflect on learnings of Season 1 and how that informs our thoughts about what we've to achieve as we build future seasons. So please come take a walk with us as we reflect a bit on Marathon. Alright, so this is Outpost, okay? Marathon's roots go back to the original trilogy of the 90s, where you, a lone security officer, defend the colony above the distant planet of Tal Ceti 4. Your fight for survival begins a long journey of discovery in which you learn about the ancient alien races, the dangers of AI evolution and rampancy, and the complex nature of dimensional reality, among many other themes. Yeah, and then you went completely in the opposite direction, made a multiplayer-only extraction shooter instead of the single-player experience that a lot of people were expecting. Like, one of the worst things that I know about Marathon is the fact when I played through the Cryo Archive and I'm just thinking, dude, this would have been one of the greatest single-player games you can imagine, because I like the style, I like the AI evolution, I like the rampancy, I love the alien races, I love all about this. They could have made it into a Destiny-like game where you played as a shell throughout these different maps, exploring it, completing objectives, leading up to the Cryo Archive where you can play with a cooperative team and take down the compiler, or or play it single-player, like the Taken King expansion with Destiny 1. Dude, it would have been so cool, but instead we got an extraction shooter that completely goes against everything that's just stated right here. As we move towards bringing those ideas to life, we brought together a team to make a social survival experience, one built around a few core concepts and themes. Everything is potentially dangerous. Create an environment where everything is a hazard or a threat. You know, I just thought of something. If this was supposed to be a video, why is it not a video? This includes fauna and flora indigenous to the planet's weather patterns, NPC enemies, and other players. Okay, this is not true because the weather patterns are just cosmetic. Like, the only actual weather pattern you can call that is during outposts when the guns shoot and they rain flaming material onto the map, causing your shell to overheat and take damage. Other than that, like, I guess you can say the rainstorms that cool your shell quicker, but the fact they didn't go all out with this, like, yeah, we also have lightning that strikes down the planet. I don't know, like, the weather patterns are like the least interesting thing about this. The NPC player enemies are cool though. I like the robots. Preparing is important. Feel high valued in bringing and utilizing the right resources for the problems you encounter. Yeah, that's true. Ensure every run feels like it's pushing you forward, raising the floor of your possibilities. I believe that's not true because most of the stuff that you get from dying, you lose everything. Like, the only thing you really get is like the seasonal rank, which allows you to gain access to the cryo archive and purchase new items, which you can lose to players who are camping the area with sniper rifles. Actually, they've actually fixed sniper rifles. It's now shotguns that they went back to the original. So now they just camp with shotguns and claymores. I really think they need to change claymores in this game and make them a much more rare resource because people just spam them everywhere. Create an environment where you can take on more risk of death to gain better rewards. Focus on open-ended decisions. Lets player tackle challenges in open-ended ways. Fight, flee, and evade based on your judgment of the scenario. Create loose alliances. Compete to gain resources for your own betterment or wait out the battles that scavenge the field. To an extent, that's true, but at the same time, almost everyone I've ever encountered shoot to kill. Like, there's only been like one situation where I actually was with a Rook player and we were working together. Then my team saw him and immediately shot on sight. So, like, there isn't no easy option as far as I can tell where you can literally like talk to a player and say friend or something like that. Usually what they do is they tap circle on the control pad and then they'll literally just crouch up and down to try and show, hey, friendly. But you always have in the back of your head that person could just pull out a shotgun and kill you. Definitely that's a highlight moment, but at the same time there's no way to properly communicate to people who are not within your team, which they definitely need to fix, even though Apex Legends kind of fixed that for them. Prompt players to consider survival as the core win condition and ensure that the living feels successful. Building on these concepts, we construct a game around high-impact decisions, feeling the push and pull of making a game that felt too complex, confusing, and punishing versus one that felt learnable and punishing players enough to keep survival in its central theme. We iterated with expanding groups of players, making shifts in our core gameplay and features as we got feedback through our tests. In the end, we landed on a game that we felt had achieved a balance in which we were provoking players to learn, take risks, feel the glory of successfully surviving and the tragedy of catastrophic failure, all in the pursuit of creating complex stories, compelling stories, of traversing the mysterious and dangerous environments of an alien planet. So, and then we put the game into a canon and launched it out into the world beyond us. So everything you just said here, like right here, down here, contradicts this. Like, it does. 100%. One is a high-octane extraction player versus player experience. The other one is a compelling single-player sci-fi horror game first-person shooter. Two very different experiences. So, are you really surprised that it created a very polarizing environment? I don't help me make this make sense. What went well? Out of the gate, it was exciting to see the core community build around the tense survival experience we created. Well, most of the people who were excited about it were the most intense player versus player players. Like, the people who you said wanted to build a survival experience, they completely checked out almost after the first couple of games because they couldn't get a handle on the learning curve. As I stated this in my review, it takes around 2 hours to learn all the various mechanics in this game, and while you're being shot by players like Shroud who can no-scope you across the map. Like, before they nerfed the sniper rifle, people would just go on top of towers, the highest point of the game, use the thermal scope, and just snipe you across the map. And they were purposely going on perimeter because all the new players had to start at perimeter, and they would just farm them for player versus player points. The sheer number of stories that the community shared at the moments of running across the planet, battling the UASC, getting into heated fights with other runners, and yes, sometimes dying to the erratic nest or poison plants were overwhelmingly inspiring. Really? Dude, I would love to see the notes that this guy was reading. The love we've seen from the world we've created has been unimaginably exciting as well. Fan art, lore videos, video edits, and music shares have become a couple of staple of our internal charts. For all of this and more, we are highly thankful to the community that has come to join us in this first season. You are in the reason we do this, and our gratitude for all of you cannot be expressed enough. Throughout Season 1, we've been building a lot of muscle to deliver more responsive and iterative live game to match the pace at which players have been playing. We've launched Cryo Archive, our first endgame map, and ranked mode. You launched it only a month after the game went live, and you had that map ready. You just held off on it for some reason because you wanted people to get all their loot up instead of allowing players access to it immediately. We launched our experimental queue, including experiments around duos and sponsor kit queues. Okay, the sponsor kit queues was actually a really good idea. We tackled a variety of balance patches and hotfixes, which we've seen a problem in the live game, which, yeah, they did solve the sniper rifle issue, but they kind of flip-flopped on the shotguns. First, they made it that you needed 3 shots to kill someone, now you need 2 shots again, so they went back to the original. We launched the mid-season carry initiative focused on players with and against others in new ways, because really, they launched this type. Really? I didn't notice a difference. Did anyone else notice the difference? I didn't notice the difference. I just played the game recently. I was queued up with people who were coming in with gray shields in the Cryo Archive and people who were going in with legendary gear. Maybe it works for some people because it didn't work for me, because during my first Cryo Archive map, my spawn point got immediately rushed by a bunch of players rocking legendary gear. So maybe I just have bad luck. With each new release, we're learning and getting better at understanding the needs of our live game operations and upgrading where we've seen opportunities. But as much as you know, Season 1 has not been without some hiccups and challenges, so let's discuss these in a bit. Where do we start? Developing a new game is always challenging, and creating a live game in 2026 is no simple effort. You've been creating a live service game for the last 10 years, even more. Like, I know it's not easy, but you guys are supposed to be experienced on this, so... There are millions of moving parts to the game, especially player-driven and systems-dense, such as Marathon. Let's start with the high level and some themes we observed around the Marathon gaming community. Marathon is overwhelming to learn. Marathon for new players can be an overwhelming experience. After a short tutorial, you're thrown out into the fire to learn a lot of the concept, navigate a lot of screens, filter through a ton of loot, and build muscle memory for a lot of mechanics fairly quickly in a hostile environment where other players can bring you down and take your stuff. And that's what the sweats love. That's what the pro players love. So you built it for those players. It's very clear who you made this game for. You didn't build it for people who just wanted to dive in and see what this map was about. You built it for the player who can rush the spawn point with a shotgun, shoot and take out your entire team. Like, am I the only one seeing this? It's easy to hit a wall if you're not spending a lot of time, don't have a consistent crew, or not super skilled. Matches can feel like a death spiral for some people. You kit up, you go in and die in a spawn rush. So they know this. Or someone gets the jump on you as you're looting. Faction progression can feel like a slog, and you struggle to get match and credits out to upgrade. You rarely get out of the loop, and the end game of Cryo feels so far away as you inch your way forward in the precious hours you have to play every week, and doing it solo just makes it all the harder. Again, all of this should have been caught in QA. Like, I don't understand, like, how you could not miss this stuff. Like, again, this appeals to the most hardcore players. They love it. But to the average player, which you're trying to convince to buy your game and stick around with it, not really. Still figuring out the balance mix of the end game. Bubbles, nade spam, and snipers can make it feel like every engagement at the end game, with all the stuff everyone has accumulated, is chaotic, fast, stressful in a bad way. Taking time to make the most important tactical decisions can feel like a luxury. Spawn rushing and lobby clearing are dominant strategies that pull the pacing too far and make matches too unpredictable. Matchmaking can be a blessing or a curse. Well, the thing is you don't really give any benefits for players to spare other players. There is nothing but benefits for killing the other player. Like, I made the argument about how I was playing with a work player. He was hitting the crouch button, showing that he was non-hostile, so I decided to give him the benefit of the doubt. I was like, okay, let's work together. And we did for most of the match. Then when we got to the top of the outpost, he went down. I tried to revive him with a mercy kit, and my other teammate just killed him. I was just like, what the fuck, man? He was like, oh, he was on the ground, whatever. I was like, dude, not cool. because there is nothing but benefits for killing the other player. Yes, you can say, well, you get an extra player to take down and clear the area, but at that same time, that player can kill you. Like, yeah, that's the whole point of an extraction shooter, but unless you give a benefit for keeping the other players alive, like some sort of, I don't know, cosmetic upgrade or something, most people are just going to shoot to kill. And there's also no clear way to communicate your intention to other players. Like, I've seen videos of arc raiders where people will communicate with one another and say, hey, this is happening. But when you don't have a mic or someone doesn't want to talk, non-verbal communications are the best way to go. And Apex Legends has already solved this to the point that everyone copies their ping system. Why is that not in the game? At least I haven't found it, and I've been playing this game for over 100 hours. Usually I'm just like, the interface is just all over the place, so I don't even bother. I just hit crouch over and over again, and that tends to be a sign of whether you're friendly or not. Sometimes you don't need to sweat. Gripping your precious loot every moment as you creep your way to exfil while spinning your head around like a chicken to make sure another runner doesn't get a drop on you with a shotgun is fun and intense experience. But after a few runs of that, sometimes you need to power down and just want to frag out and relax and play a different way. It's hard to find that chill moment in Marathon because it doesn't exist. That doesn't exist at all. I've seen players go across the map to literal isolated zones within outposts within perimeter, and players still find them because they run the recon drone and they'll literally just scan to look for that one player. It doesn't exist. That's what this type of game is. And again, the people who love that experience are the most hardcore players. And unless you give some sort of benefit for allowing players to work together, they're all going to just kill each other on the spot. As we've been learning these lessons, we've been experimenting and observing some additional areas to help us explore avenues to improve Marathon. Sponsored Marsh Perimeter are helpful to create a more chilled environment to play, especially if you've been stomped or want to get focused on getting some quest done over dunking it out for loot. Well, that's not going to solve anything because the most acclaimed players just camp those areas. Like, especially in Dire Marsh, there's an area you have to go in the biotech lab. I believe it's on the upper top of the map, and you need to go to that area every single time for Seneghetti, basically the Moth faction, and you have to go there for every single one, and that's basically where a large amount of players camp now. They'll just sit there and wait for a player to come there, and since maps are designed and loaded based on what players have which contracts, since some of them are contracted contracts, which means more than one player has them, and only one player can complete them, some of the more seasoned players know about these maps, they know the differences, and they just rush those areas. So, can't really fix something that you put into the game now, can you? A lot of people have been playing the sponsor kit queues, and we're excited to see how it helps the overall loop of the economy gain and progression. Sponsor kits can be a good way to get up over the floor of the season and help recover, escalating to lower end kits, the middle end kits, over to the season where it can make it easier to get back into the fight, especially for players who play less. Our matchmaking system need different dimensions. In Season 1, they focused on making sure players with less experience and knowledge were kept away from those with more. The result in some good, which is newer players being protected for longer, and some bad, which is some unfortunate small pooling happening in the later parts of the season. The result was a constant battle we fought between match quality and queue times. I mean, when you have such a small player pool, that's on them, unfortunately. You don't want to wait like as much as I waited for 6 minutes for a match when you don't have cross-play enabled. So it's a lot of problems they have to deal with, and it all stems from the fact they don't have a lot of players because a lot of new players are getting stomped by the veteran players who are just looking for easy kills and clip farming. So again, you designed the game this way. Are you really surprised this is how it is? I know I keep repeating that, but you guys spend multiple years playing this game, playtesting the game. You've had over 10 years of live service experience. Are you telling me none of you expected this? Like, I find that very, very shocking, because Halo was one of the most trolly games out there, Halo 2 in particular. Teabagging, getting the sniper, and finding ways to betray your teammates while getting the betrayal icon appearing and getting kicked for it. This has existed in your games for many, many years. So it just really fascinates me that you lack the foresight to see this coming. We needed to be careful with how many queues we're running. Throughout the season, we've added more queues, which inevitably split the population more and led to some more increased queue times. As we go into future seasons, we want to be more judicious in how we handle the amount of queues better. We've been absorbing so many of the season thanks to feedback, data, yada yada yada. I'm not gonna read all that. So that's the Destroyer class. Where we want to go. We want to bring Marathon out for players. Our aspiration started with a simple statement. We want players to experience the thrill and dangers to survive on the edge of the explored universe. Our plans is to commit that the mission by both go deeper and expanding on the definition. To the end, we have made 2 paths we're going to walk down starting Season 2. A better seat a gripping experience with more mind-bending sci-fi. First and foremost, we want to create the involved and challenge intense experience that our players have come to love while leaning further into the wild world we created. We want to build it with a new constant systems that challenges you in new ways to grow, collaborate, and compete with one another in your quest to thrive on Tau City's deadly environments. New zones, zone changes, and variants, new shells, new weapons, new equipment, and loot galore. So basically just a standard live service upgrade of content that should have been in the game. New systems that can change how you progress in the season, new contracts that add to the journey of exploration and gain favor with the factions, and changes to parts of the game that meaningfully help you re-examine what you already know. So more ways for you to get camped and just snipe with shotguns and sniper rifles. Got it. In Season 2, we'll starting the journey with some things will be added to the mix, including new dimensional challenge with Night March, a new defensive runner shell, sentinel, new weapons and equipment, a revamped of how you acquire runner shell stats to give you more options with the cradle, and increased progression rates for factions and runner levels. So I assume this is the new shell? Dude, that looks just like a alternate version of the sentinel. Like, this would literally be an Echo Fighter in Super Smash Bros. Like, please don't tell me this is the new shell, because it literally just looks like the Destroyer shell with cosmetic changes. I assume this is like the new enemy right there. Like, that kind of looks like an alien. Honestly, that could just be a plant. Like, from the background we see here, I'm not really sure, because I see eyes here. I'm certain, yeah, that has to be a plant. Like, it can't be an enemy, because we're all looking in this direction and shooting here, so that's probably a plant. But this is the best you could come up with? Alright, maybe it'll play cool. Beyond Season 2, we're working on some new interesting ideas that will help escalate the game, bring new areas of Tau City to life. As we develop new content, we're focusing on bring new and interesting challenges to the game for both veterans and newcomers alike. Just a note, these ideas are in development, and so is the interest of transparency. We're going to emulate them below, but likely it's going to take better shape as we change, as we learn more over Season 2. A new zone that leans into more alien elements and mind-warping defaults, new enemies from Tau Ceti and beyond, big and small alike, new enemies that fill out the battery side of the arsenal, new ways to exfil, create interesting trade-offs between how much loot you can carry versus how safe they are. You know, these are just a lot more promises. Like, it's similar to High Guard, the Concord. It's just like more and more promises, and I'm done with promises when it comes to Bungie. Let's face it, their reputation is in the toilet. They're like, the trust is gone. Like, guys, just tell us. Like, you right now, you need to gain a beneficial reputation. You need to tell us something that's beyond, yo, trust us, bro. Because this right now, after so many years of development, after so much money, you're telling me this stuff still isn't done? What the hell is going on over there? Like, I really hope my theory that they have this stuff done and they're just holding off on it for the delusion that they have content coming forward is true. I really hope it's true, because if you're still developing this stuff after multiple years and all this stuff, I just don't know what to say, man. I don't know. Like, that's just sad. Like, guys, like, look... I honestly don't know what else to say. Like, if I was Sony and I heard this and this was the truth, like, I hope that Sony has the idea of, like, hey, they have this stuff created. It's not going to cost us that money to just maintain it. But I really hope they're not telling Sony, oh, yeah, we're developing this stuff. Because after everything that just transpired, I'm pretty sure that'll be the last thing Sony executives want to hear. We're also dedicating a strong effort to smoothen out the experience and solving issues that we already seen, as well as new issues that arise in a quick and responsive manner that includes not only balance changes and improvements to the user experience, but also ensuring you can get a good value as playing as little as well as playing a lot, and that can do better to find the right challenges for your gear and skill level as you grow in the game. Season 2 will be adding duos, rotating queue. Season 2 will be adding new matchmaking system to help find players better quality matches and more flex for higher end players. Season 2 will be expanding on your max size of vault. Season 2 and beyond will be working on a set of UI improvements to help setting goals and getting into a match smoother. Season 3 and beyond, we'll be working on our onboarding experience to make it less overwhelming for players. Season 3 and beyond, we'll be making changes to construct contract system to improve how you interact with priority and other contracts. Dear fucking Christ, man. Like, I feel like this is stuff that doesn't need seasonal updates. It's stuff that needs to be fixed right away and put into the game right away. Am I wrong about that? Because I feel like this bullshit about seasonal content is just getting too much. At this point, you guys just need to make constant updates to the game as quickly as possible, similar to what Pearl Abyss was doing with Crimson Desert. You need to go there and say, okay, we need to put this, we need to fix that, we need to do this immediately. Our players are going to get into the 4 digits. Actually, it has dropped to the 4 digits before, I think. Yeah, it has. Oh my god, so it has dropped as low as 3,000 players. Guys, seasonal things have to stop. Put the stuff as quickly as possible into the game, because you need players and you need to get a better reputation, because this right now is killing your game. Stop with seasons. Just say season gone. We're just going to start putting stuff into the game as quickly as possible to try and recover our player base. I think that's the best option to do right now. More options to chill and new survival experiences. When I talk too long, my throat starts to lock up. The second theme is about how we want to evolve Marathon as a whole to be experienced, where you can find a novel ways to play when you're stressed out from being nail-biting run and just need to cool off, or just have fun without the stress. Options where you can go full sweat or lean back and chill. He's just repeating himself. This means new ways to play to accommodate different friend group moods and time availability to allow you to experience the thrilling survival of Tau City in ways that fit your needs. Season 2 will be experimented in 2 modes. The beginning of the season will, and one towards the middle and later half of the season. The experimental mode at the beginning of the season will focus more on player versus environment, but with light touch of P versus P. The second experimental mode will be PVE versus E only, that focuses on crews being asked with completing objectives together and making some progress across matches. We'll also run experimental queues beyond the 2 offerings for Season 2 and beyond, tested waters and other mechanics, as well as perhaps more purely P versus P focused modes, and the potential for those to become part of the core game or loot permanent new ways to play. Big things are coming down the line, so acts about the future. Alright, there's still more, but I want to discuss this entire statement. I'm going to reiterate this. Why in the fuck was this not in the game in the first place? What in the hell have you guys been doing all these years? And the fact that they implemented all these systems to focus on the most hardcore of audience, and now they're backtracking to try and get casual audiences into the game, shows how much they realize they fucked up. It just genuinely shows it. Like, you guys had a tried and true formula with the other with the Destiny games, with Halo, and somehow you guys made every possible mistake you can possibly imagine. Like, it's just very confusing. You had these same mistakes with Destiny 1. Then you fixed it with Destiny the Taken King. How is this happening again? Just how? Did you guys really think that because you had the most high-octane, highly intense streamers and content creators playing your game, that's going to attract enough players to engage with this game? No. Within 1 or 2 hours, they're going to say, I don't like this game, refund the game, and you get player numbers like this. So I don't know who these people are listening to, how they did not learn to their mistakes from past experiences, but something is really, really wrong here. Like, the fact that they are trailing back and basically going against the very community that's still sticking around with their game is not going to end well. You're not going to attract new players at this point, and the players who are sticking around are here for the P versus P experience, so you're just going to shoot yourself in both legs. Like, maybe the player versus environment stuff will give a small boost, but it's not going to be enough. Like, it's probably going to get me to try and fight the compiler, but once I do that, I'm done. But even then, it's like I've lost interest at this point for the most part. Like, unless that same team who went into the room with me wants to play again, I don't know. Now and after, if this was the recording, oh my, again with the pretentious theater kid line. Okay. If this was recording, this would be where I pause the music, bring our hands together, and stare thoughtfully at the distance. I'll begin to say something that probably stop myself and take a few deep breaths before counting. Oh my god. Today we are approaching the end of Season 1, but our eyes on the road beyond to 2026 into 2027, and our hands are working to pave the road as we speak. The journey ahead is one that we see to expand scope and depth and breadth of what it has been for Season 1, all in the interest of bringing life to vibrancy and passion that we... This is just a bunch of nothing. I'm just going to go to the bullet points. Season 2 is on the horizon, sowing seeds to plan the future. This is, again, Season 3, new shell, additional... it's just the same thing that we read. I'm sorry, but this is just literally the same thing we regurgitated before. But, yeah, I think this is the biggest PR statement you could possibly hear. Right now, they are bleeding players very harshly. The content they're promising, literally... We haven't seen anything to give us any hope about the future. The P versus E stuff and the increase in vault size along with the reduce on progression systems, okay, I will give them credit for that. That is actually good choices. But for the fact they didn't catch this during the many playtests this game should have had is incredible. And at the end of the day, I really think that this game is probably going to survive a year before Sony just says this is it. It's make it or break it, because I don't know how many more players are going to stick around with this game, seeing that so much of it has been just mediocre at best. A lot of people enjoying the game, but it just doesn't have the content. And the fact that you're limiting content to seasonal updates is not going to end well. I really think they should do away with the seasons and just say, okay, we will update the game as we go along as quickly as possible, because you need to add players as quickly as possible, and this just doesn't look like it. But I've read through the entire article. It does not give me hope for the future of this game. And as much as I want the P versus E to survive, unless they somehow put every single enemy from the previous Marathon games into this game and allow you to fight them, I'm just going to be fighting robots upon robots, the occasional tick, and then the compiler. Like, you haven't even told us what enemies you're putting in the game, for the love of God. So is it going to be one enemy per season? If that's the case, oh my God, what the fuck, man? That would be like the whole moment of, God damn, our expectations were low, but holy fuck. But tell me, what do you think in the comments below? Do you have more hope than I do? Because I don't. I feel like I'm probably going to delete the game off my hard drive at this point, because, oh God, this does not give me any hope. But tell me what you think in the comments below. My voice is shot. My spirit is gone. I'm done. Bye.